One thing I communicated to you early on, when we, started talking about the potential of an interview, is my personal interest in injecting some academic framework into the way we understand politics. So there's scholars like Wendy Brown, for example. She's a political theorist at UC Berkeley. She has argued, as well as many other scholars, that what we're seeing is not just a local phenomena of rise of authoritarianism, but a global one, right? We see strongman figures pop up around the world, like Trump, like Narendra Modi, like Erdogan in Turkey or Bolsonaro in Brazil. And obviously, there's a lot of different factors that are going to be distinct with these authoritarian figures, but there are some global concepts that seem to be common. And one of those is neoliberalism. Just so I can explain to the people who may be listening, neoliberalism is usually characterized by free market politics, deregulation of corporations. There's also a social and political aspect to neoliberalism that often doesn't get talked about. Dr. Brown specifies in one of her books that a behavior that neoliberal politicians engage in, whether they're from the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, is performative rhetoric. It's very normal to see a politician that backs those kinds of austerity politics and also engage in performative rhetoric to win votes. But when it comes to putting pen to paper and pass substantive legislation, politicians often fall short of that. And when voters see this kind of thing happening, they get disenchanted, they lose trust in the system. And almost always that results in voters putting their faith in strongmen, authoritarian figures. Do you think that both Democratic and Republican politicians in America ever, engage in this kind of performative rhetoric?
I think, look, I'm not a political scientist and I'm not a political historian, but from what I can observe, there is some truth to what you're talking about, and there are folks across the ideological spectrum that engage in um, performative rhetoric, and there are people who say things that they don't mean, or they say things that don't align with their votes, and I understand that, but I think at the end of the day, you talked about neoliberalism. At the end of the day, the idea is, um, you know, uh, I think that there is a role for government, right? Like, I think there is a
Yeah.
role for government to do good in this country. And I think there is a role for investments in people and in the institutions that govern us. I am not surprised that there is distrust of government, and that distrust has heightened over the years, and that we are more polarized, and increasingly so. It is uh, government's job uh, to um, prove to the people why it is necessary and why it's important. They have to demonstrate that we can have faith in our leaders. And I think every elected office holder, whether we're talking about city council or all the way up to the president of the United States, has a responsibility to demonstrate why they are right for the job, and they have to continually demonstrate that to the people. What the Trump administration is doing right now, gutting our institutions, ending Medicaid coverage for people, harming people, separating families, making people disappear because they disagree with them. These are things that tear at the fabric of our society. There is going to be long-term harm as a result of the Trump administration's actions. And that's stuff that we're going to have to heal over the course of many years. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take time. But I have hope that we're going to get there. And I have hope that we're going to be able to come out of this moment as
Yeah.
as a stronger and more resilient country, but it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be something that we have to start right now, and we have to
Yeah.
fight back against every moment that we're seeing where the Trump administration is trying to harm our constitutional principles or our democracy. And there are different strategies that we're going to have to take, whether it's litigation, relying on legislation and our Congress, or taking to the streets and making sure that we're out there in droves, registering our discontent, because that is an important aspect of
Yeah.
our work as well.
Absolutely. And I hear you, and I fully appreciate the threat that Trump poses, not only to Americans, but the world at large. But I think there's a bit of a risk when we talk about Trump as the end all be all. And I'm not saying that you've done that at all, but when people, especially in the Democratic Party, focus their campaigns, focus their rhetoric, focus their policies on combating Trump,
Yeah,
combating Trump is not an issue,
it
right?
is not.
Yeah, like poverty is an issue, healthcare is an issue, housing is an issue. And so long as we focus on the boogeyman, I believe that authoritarianism is only going to repeat itself. And that's what the history of political science tells us. The political science tells us we're not in the first or second, but the third wave of authoritarianism right now. And this can not only be understood normatively, but quite quantitatively. We can see the causal factors that led us here. And a lot of that has to do with fulfilling your promises. A lot of it has to do with substantive policy work, which is why I have such great respect for the ACLU and the work that you do, because all of this work is tangible and it touches people's lives.
Hey there, if you liked that video, then subscribe to my channel, click on the link in my bio to follow me on Instagram, X, and more.